Okay, we are back. And we're live. So, the last session we had was light on combat, but heavy on content. So, we spent a full session getting to chat with a greater deity, and then deal with the rest of the remaining people that were alive. We had some triage going on. We got to talk with some of the individual groups that were still alive, kind of look at direction. As part of all of our conversations, we were given a country, and as the Phalanx took back their garrison, as they're trying to restructure and redevelop, the country that they took over had lost the majority of its governing body, which were somewhere within the Badlands, and lost their life as a part of the massive conflict that took place there. As a result, it was an independent nation, and so they decided to hand it over to you. After our conversations with the goddess of magic, we learned that there were advocates for us that kind of helped, as she was one of the guiding forces that gave us our overall path to come together to help fulfill the prophecy in its light. She's kind of one of the guiding hands that made sure that y'all were all the ones together in conjunction with the will of the advocates. And she went to each one in turn and told them where, the stem of that power came from, and, kind of who the advocate was. And then she said that she breaks the bonds, those shackles of, her guiding hand in regards to fate. So, from here, fate was your own. Or to be guided by someone else, I guess, could be a possibility. But it wouldn't be her pulling the strings for you individually any longer. We learned about the Magister and his kind of unfortunate circumstance. He's still alive, but his tether to this realm was cut as something to do with the lodestone and what had whatever power had gripped him there severed his magical conduit that was keeping him both in the realm of Mystra and the material plane. And so as such, that's why Mystra came, was to help in the resurrection of Nalar, as she offered him the new position as her champion on the material plane to take over the role as the new Magister. And so we kind of left off kind of reeling from all of that. We got a little bit of sleep. We sent some of the troops back to kind of do their own thing, while some, like Lumos people, as well as you and several of like the Phalanx members, and then apparently the Mayorans, both the clerics and paladins, wholeheartedly agree to join you in your cause explicitly. So, as we were kind of leaving off, the preparations were being made to teleport back to our new keep in our castle in our country.
Put it like that.
One thing, just for it to be on the record, was, as I said before we turned the stream on, kind of after waking up on that the next morning, you noticed that something very peculiar had happened with each of your main weapons. They were the same, yet somehow they had been unlocked to a new tier across the board, where they were all given a name. I don't think I get Bijou. They just put hers together, so hers doesn't have a name yet. But I gotta come up with one for that. But everybody else's actually has a name. Lumos isn't a weapon; it's an actual energy from the sun god.
Lumo is the weapon.
Lumo is its name-o, I guess. And yeah, and each one has a unique set of abilities that kind of correlate, as well as some kind of tie to the advocate.
So where are we now? Had we left the Badlands yet?
No, we had just woken up. We had
Right.
on the day we were making preparations to leave. But that's
Okay.
that's kind of where y'all left off. We hadn't actually made the transport yet when we left off last time.
I guess there's no reason to stay here in the Badlands. I mean, last time everyone who's going with us, we know who's going, so
Yeah, if everybody's ready, we might as well head out.
I mean, I'm a free man. I can do whatever I want.
How does that feel?
He doesn't know yet. He's yet to leave. So, I mean, freedom in word, not yet action. I mean,
That's fair. Well, I, for one, am more than ready to get out of this desert.
I want to go see mountains, bigger rocks.
It was the Archwizard who was going to take us, right?
That's correct.
Oh, have our orders come in before we leave, or
Your orders?
You're free, man. You don't get orders.
no? Our the items be sent.
Drad
Our
mentioned
previous gears.
like all of the things we had from our other keeper going up to our new place.
Oh,
so
okay.
they'll probably be there.
Great postal service.
Amazon Prime. 2 days, no matter the realm.
You know what's really funny? That's the name of the parcel. That I made that it contains all those items. That's the name of the actual parcel that I.
That is funny. Just before we go, can I go over and just ask Archwizard Braden? When we were speaking to Mistra, if it's not my place to ask, I'm sorry, but I was curious when she said, when she told you to go seek him, can I ask who she was referring to?
You see, he kind of crosses his arms. Part of this is just me not remember exactly. This is too long ago. What context? I don't remember the rest of the other sentences around it to remember exactly who him was, to be honest.
Yeah. So when we were speaking to Mistra, and then the Archwizard came up to us and took a knee in front of Mistra, and she was talking to him about, okay, we need to cut their ties to fate, and then I want you to set them up as arranged, and then go seek him. I see his aid needed.
Oh, okay. That's a very important hymn. He's gonna kind of hem and haw a little with his arms crossed. There are some other very powerful mortal advocates that seek balance in the realms, that draw their power not necessarily from the Lady Mistra, but work for good endeavors. Sometimes those endeavors can be misrepresented, but it is always for cosmic balance.
Izzy nods. Is kind of like, okay, I don't need to know any more details if you don't want to tell them. And she says, do all the gods have champions, or just the Lady Mistra?
Not all, but there are many. Particularly those garnering great power amongst the gods.
Almost without thinking about it, Izzy just kind of like glances over at Lumo and just kind of nods.
He just kind of shrugs a little,
Well, is everybody more or less ready to go?
Yes.
Let's do this.
The faster the better.
I do hope that your father, when we find him, is in an area much more rich with foliage.
I've heard it's a jungle over there.
I just want to hurry to him.
Izzy will take one of her empty vials and hold it out for Lumo. Say, if you want to take it with you.
Yeah.
if all are so inclined, gather round and let's make this transport a reality.
And away we go.
So the Archwizard kind of mulls it over for a moment, thinking that there's multiple ways in which he can kind of enact it, trying to think if he wants to get everybody to touch and use one type of teleport spell, or you can see that it takes a little longer than you expect, just kind of staring off into oblivion, kind of up and to the left a little, just kind of staring, and with a little bit of an aha as he raises a finger, you can see him start tracing a shape in this in the air in front of him. As he says a few arcane words, the shape begins to swirl into a large open portal. Right this way, through, to your new home.
I step into the Stargate.
I'll follow.
Led
One
by
hand first.
led by the party through through the actual portal itself. Not long after comes, Lumos people and the Mayorans and a handful of the others that were going to follow along and stay, while some of the others stayed behind to maintain those that still needed some care before they could be moved. Everybody that was either that we had kind of gotten out of the critical stages of those that needed care, so there's no more of those left behind that were on the could live or die. We had kind of made it through all the triage elements, and now we're all stable, just not everybody is still in a good position to move, and so they're making preparations so that they can move whenever that's a reasonable expectation. And so those stay behind. A lot of the gnomes took off on their own with their train of people headed back towards their ships back in the north, on errand directly from Bijou's command. And all those that are coming make it through, and the Archwizard steps through last, closing the portal behind him. And we get to glimpse first eyes on what we actually get have only known from circumspect imagery, the actual castle, as we come into the main courtyard directly in front of the keep.
What time of day is it?
It's still morning.
So we slept a night out in the desert after the battle, right?
That's right. Yeah, I think I plugged in the long rest already for sure.
Okay, cool. Just look around a bit, I suppose.
Yeah. A little bit trying to get my bearings.
I mean, the castle is quite large. The keep alone puts the garrison to shame in its size. The keep is bigger than the entirety of the garrison itself. And then you see the long stemming walls up on this big hill. With the individual towers along the way, providing structure, and how well fortified the actual castle itself is.
Well, better than the Badlands. It's still very sparse. Do they have to trim the verge so aggressively around the walls?
At least it's green.
Fucking humid. Can't breathe.
Lovely.
Clap Steen on the back.
He's breathing water. Feels like he's drowning.
While not as green as, say, something like Rodrin, which had a nice combination of forests in dense pockets, as well as very lush, thick rolling hills and grasslands with, the trees sparsely placed throughout. It is still, by comparison, extremely green to the Badlands. Still a little on the warm side, but not the oppressive heat of the desert. Nice cooling breezes. This would be something more akin to like southern Arkansas, which has got a lot of not nearly as dense forests, but a lot more flat land, some even swampland to that degree. There's a lot of humidity and still hot.
Somehow Bijou's hair seems to grow bigger. There's red hair everywhere.
Like a lion.
Bigger than she is.
Essentially. Yep, essentially.
It's a full 80s hair.
I lean into Izzy and not quite a whisper, but I just say, imagine if your shipmates could see you now.
It's a huge grin across her face. But none of them have ever been in a place like this. And they had mentioned that Dardoc and it was just Dardoc because he was the leader, right? And he would have been sort of in charge of this place if he was high enough rank.
That's right. Yeah, he previously had served on part of their governing body. He was the only one. So there was another semi-leader, but he was not part of the governing body. He was something else, from somewhere else.
Okay. So I guess I would wait for him to step through the portal behind us, and then kind of give him a shrug and say, "Welcome home."
You see, he kind of cocks his head as he's like, kind of shrugging a little bit. It's like it's one thing to return to familiarity, but another entirely to get the hell out of that desert.
Just emphatic nod. I don't suppose there are baths here. I think I have sand in places where there should definitely not be sand.
You see a big
For
grin
sure.
as he nods. I think the
How
cat.
high are the walls?
They're actually quite tall. There's even the lowest places are at least 15 feet, and then some, depending on where they are in relation to the actual hillside on the other side, can get even higher if it's like the places that are near that actually have some level ground outside of them. So like along the north edge, along the keep, they can go 20, 25, 30, depending on their relative position to the ground.
Alright, Luma's gonna scamper up the wall.
It's like Lumo jumps over the wall.
He's gonna peer out and look at the rest of the landscape.
So to the east runs a river that's fairly prominent. It's a pretty large river. It's not, and in fact, looking over, you can see the mast of a couple of ships that are docked at its harbor off to the east. That runs just east of the keep at the bottom of the hill. Thereafter, off to the north, you can see a small bustling town that spreads out and around, both across the north and a little to the northwest of the castle proper, if you will. But the road from the castle leads down the hill to the city that's at the bottom, kind of at the bottom of the hill. To the south, you can see the mountain ranges that line the northern edge of the Badlands and the southern edge of this country itself. They are quite far in the distance, but for the most part, it is only barely rolling hills to the south, leading up to the actual peaks of the mountains themselves. To the west and to the east, on the other side of the river, it is relatively flat. Like not even the rolling hills that are kind of to the south. The occasional, bumps, if you will, from this kind of view. But it is, for the most part, pretty flat to the east, north, and west.
We should all prepare ourselves for the next leg of our journey. As much as I do enjoy my toes wriggling through green grass again, we should be well on our way.
We should definitely check out the rest of the keep in the surrounding area.
We may be able to teleport to that place,
Camden is the place I believe you're talking about.
Camden, and we have a couple of days. Should at least spend one day here, get things prepared. We have a country now, so
I have my own country.
indeed.
Ojo's going to kind of look around at the hustle and bustle of people that are still coming through the portal, and then all the different little buildings, establishments, just kind of get a disdainful look and kind of grimace.
I mean, if it would make you feel better, Lodrin, maybe you could grow some trees up here somewhere.
Oh, perhaps it would pain me too greatly to see it chopped down for someone's hovel.
I bet if you grew them, nobody would dare touch them. like looking up at this 7-foot furball. Well, Dardak, would you want to show us around?
I could take you on the grand tour. Would you like to see the grounds, or perhaps a small bit of luxury in the keep?
Let's see the grounds.
Yes.
Alright, so he kind of takes you through. He has a slightly different perspective, maybe, than several on his grand tour, as his focus as he's kind of going around is very pragmatic and definitely focused on what would be fortification oriented, as he's kind of giving the tour, talking about how strong this wall is in this section and how this is a good defense point, as he's looking at the different channels going from the main keep, talking about how it's extra guarded and how should the first series be overrun, then people could come back here, and is very very battle focused lecture as he's going around talking about why it was built this way, and what the strengths and invariably then what the weaknesses are. It walks through out of the main courtyard of the keep, taking you through the little section that has multiple portcullises and doors on the way into the second tier that would be like the more main area where shops and there's a bit of a bazaar going on, and the barracks buildings, as well as armory and the like, are kind of all along the main area. Also, he points out the building that houses the entryway along through a set of tunnels down to the harbor that is on the east side of the lower segment here.
Izzy perks up at the mention of the harbor.
Kind of running through, kind of shows you through the tunnels just a little. You can kind of, as you kind of come out the bottom, it comes out of a sheer cliff kind of piece that has stone and wooden sections of wooden steps in between stone steps that lead down to the harbor themselves. They're very large steps, so this is something that a large amount of goods could be brought in directly through this way. So it's not like just some little bitty tunnel or anything. It's actually quite expansive. And so is the structure allowing people to go down. It is set up as stairs, so carts couldn't come up and down, but as you walk down, you pass several people, with sacks on their back, drudging themselves upward. They've also got, from the top, they have a couple of different shelves that are not part of the stairs, that are off to the side, that have cranes that can move goods up a tier onto another platform, that then a crane from above can grab and pull up to another platform, and then one at the top of the wall that can pull things over into the actual keep itself for things that are too heavy or too cumbersome to come through the tunnels. Kind of leads you back through, showing where the men stay in the barracks, and then the main entryway to the keep, and then just kind of pointing out the city below. Would there be anything else that you would like to see while we're here? Perhaps test some of the defenses? Fire some of the ballista?
Izzy's eyes go wide. We can do that?
This place is yours. You can do as you wish.
Since Izzy mentioned before, perhaps we could get cleaned up, and I would like to meet up here with my group so we could talk, and then possibly meet again with you, Dardock, and other representatives that are here. We possibly have some ideas about the future.
I serve at your whim. It is more than my life that I owe you.
You don't owe us, Dardoc. We were all just doing our jobs.
True. But it doesn't change the facts.
Well, about that bath.
Very well. Follow me this way. And he leads you back through the main area, back into the main courtyard in front of the keep, into the keep, and then there, a handful of servants come in and meet you all, and each kind of take you off to your own individual rooms and show you the amenities that are available for you to get refreshed, change of clothes if necessary. Something can be found at hand to accommodate anyone.
Nice. Yeah, Izzy has a good long soak.
Yeah, Carl probably won't take a long soak, but he'll get cleaned up and.
I dust myself off. I don't think I perspire. I don't know. I don't think I have pores.
I'd love to see a bathtub after an Earth Genasi set in it.
Yeah, it's just mud.
Hey, maybe you can take a mud bath.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably pores.
I think we're just passively cooled.
Some of the cracks are more like steam vents in your flesh than.
Did you
Your
say
body is a
steam vents?
Your body's a radiator.
Passive cool.
Izzy would probably pick up a new shirt, and it might be a little bit frilly underneath her leather armor, but I think she would pick one that doesn't have the big poofy sleeves like she usually wears, so that when she comes back down to meet you guys, you would see the tattoo on her arm.
As you're beginning to get ready, you're each taking to your room. You can notice that some of your any like personal effects that you'd like left behind at the garrison had arrived and were in their rooms individually waiting for you. As you're getting ready, servants knock on the door and bring in turn items, the ones that you had ordered.
Ooh.
Which are now in the party sheet.
Groovy.
Amazon Prime delivery.
Woo!
So, the alchemy jug, bracers of defense, the cloak of billowing, the best cloak.
They don't have any. It just says a light voluminous cloak, and one's a just metal bracers.
They not is all the ID stuff turned on? Something happened to turn all those on.
Jug is the jug.
Man, Lumo got lots of stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
my
did.
cloak of billowing is hilarious.
Very grandiose of you.
Right?
It's like a less useful version of Doctor Strange's cloak.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
picturing Ken and Ryu in Street Fighter after a match is over and they turn the opposite direction.
What book is Booming Blade in?
Oh,
Sorkos. Sorkos 1, I think.
yeah.
But also probably Xanathar's.
I don't.
Yeah, Sword Coast.
I don't see Sword Coast. Hold on, modules. Never mind. Sorry, I found it. Well,
All right, so
Winner, winner. And I'm ready to go. I'm cleaned up. Check the mail.
actually, Izzy, that was one of those pieces that was supposed to be there. Yeah, the communication thing. So you can feel free to add that.
Oh, okay.
I opened a new book, so Fantasy Grounds is mad at me, but I can continue on while it catches up.
And the courier says that they have no knowledge of anything about the research.
Okay.
That they said they could inquire, perhaps one of the mages know, but they do not.
Okay. If they could do that, she'd appreciate it. I imagine it would take some time, but just curious about how it's going, I suppose. And she'll give him a gold piece.
The servant will thank you profusely as they bow and kind of duck away to return to task.
And yeah, she'll head downstairs, kind of subconsciously reaching up to tug at her sleeve and then remembering it's not there.
Just in case anyone forgot.
Oh, there you go. It's fancy.
Wow.
So you guys would have seen the brand mark which is the one on the left. But while we were at the garrison, she had somebody do the tattoo for her to cover it up.
Yeah, Cara would have said it looks very nice. How long would that have taken?
It was
No.
a couple days. She kind of snuck off by herself a few times. Izzy startles at that.
At what?
She just heard a voice in her head.
Oh, okay.
So you might have seen her. You might have seen her do that.
Are you okay?
Yeah. Yeah. She's like looking around. You didn't hear that, did you?
Afraid
Okay, she
not.
goes hearing things.
What did you hear? If I may ask.
The captain. Redblade.
Interesting.
She kind of looks down at her sword. She's gonna pull the sword out and kind of look at it and be like, "Are you in there?"
Who's in where?
It's Redblade, my former captain. I can hear his voice.
I know of moonblades. They can hold the essence of their former owners.
Well, you always had a way with pretty women, Redblade.
I'm just gonna walk away.
Yeah. she's gonna think, kind of like how she concentrates on the necklace when she's trying to contact Arden. She'll think at him and just kind of like, can you still hear me if I do this way? It's a little weird if I'm talking to myself. My mates are gonna think I'm crazy.
There's no response.
Oh no. Okay.
Somebody's been in Lodrin's good berries again.
Might just be alcohol poisoning.
Hey, I haven't summoned any more ale from the jug since the last time I had the good
Like-
berries.
Like 3 days ago?
Yes. What of it?
Not judging. Just person makes good berries and booze.
It was pretty good, actually.
That's the name of our bar. Good berries and booze.
We do have a tavern now,
Yeah.
apparently.
Yeah. Done. Good berries and booze. It's catchy.
Perhaps we could see if they can prepare us any food. We all can sit down and talk.
Welcome to
Food would be
Goodberry. Home with a
great.
Goodberry. Can we take your order?
It's been feels like an eternity since, or I'm not even sure if we've ever really been able to just sit down and not worry immediately about what is around the corner. When I look at Bijou, and it's like I know we must be going soon, but
Yeah.
I guess we could find the Great Hall and sit down there.
that sounds good. Car, I guess as you're maybe starting to walk along towards that way, or he just sort of freezes.
Car?
And you just hear him very shakily say, "My moon."
Izzy's gonna stop with you and just kind of put a hand on your arm, I guess. Make sure you're okay.
Yeah, he just says, in a shaky kind of voice, "I heard her."
uh, yeah, Izzy just smiles real big at you, like just absolutely happy for you.
You guys just see like Bijou's like been on like anxiety like major, and she just kind of chills. Like she's good now. So where's the food?
Yeah, let's go to the kitchen. We'll see if we can find somebody to help us get some food together.
Car just takes a moment, few deep breaths, and he just sort of repeats, "I hear you, my moon."
Yeah.
And he slowly walks with Izzy.
Oh, okay. She was gonna give you some privacy, but if you're coming along, that's good too. Oh, steam.
Yeah, that's everything Jakar would be doing right now if he was here.
Yeah, but I think mine's actually talking to me. That's not hopeful. It said something.
Yours does too?
I'm just trying to be inconspicuous. Like, did you guys hear that? No, Steve's like, no, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. Izzy, my shield has told me to get my shit together. I don't know what it means.
I think it means it wants you to get your shit together.
It's my favorite part of the week.
Lady Mistress said your advocate was the founder of the Phalanx. Was that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Zyron or Ziron. They're not really sure.
My shield just floats in the air and backhands me. It's hilarious.
Maybe you're not so free from the Phalanx after all.
Look around. Pretty free as I think I can be.
Now you got Sergeant Holka as your shield voice. So.
Oh no, it's definitely Sam Elliott.
Yep, Sam Elliott. Oh yes.
Nice.
Oh, for sure.
Good morning. What the hell are you, the goddamn weatherman?
How do you know what kind of day it is?
So I guess I'll go with Bijou to the kitchens and see if he can find anybody around.
Oh yeah. So as you kind of make your way that direction, there are already servants abound preparing what looks like a well-refined mini-course feast. Make your way to the kitchens, past the dining room. The servants are already beginning to carry out large dishes placed on a huge table, like a large conference table, and with different tables kind of sit off to each side that are just like buffet lines. Just stuff being placed everywhere.
I try to help them.
Getting in the way of the people. I mean, big question though. If I split my shield in half and it talks and I put one shield to each ear, do I get surround sound?
Stereo.
It's like the angel and the devil on each shoulder if you do that.
Your conscious is talking to you.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Surround sound. Yeah, Steve's hungry. We haven't eaten today.
I was gonna say, one thing is when Izzy and you go to help the servants, unlike other places, you know, like in Tenaria, like when you try to do that, they almost were frightful as you doing their job, you know, seemed to imply that they weren't doing theirs, and so that could have repercussions. These servants seem very, I mean, they're obviously well mannered, and they seem quite happy as well, but they don't seem apprehensive about you assisting. They just seem grateful. Something that's a little different than, you know, kind of the places you've been before.
Okay, she's a little bit relieved by that, and she just kind of like very quietly says to them, like, "You guys are paid well, right? You're here by choice."
Very much so.
Okay, good.
We are actually in a quite lucrative profession. Honored at that, to serve in the keep itself.
I'm glad to hear it. Thank you. Thank you for your help. And if there's anything I can do for you guys, just let me know.
Kind of smile as they continue on effectively doing their duty.
Yeah, and she's pretty satisfied with that, so she will she'll finish helping with what she's doing and then go grab a plate and sit down with everybody.
So you all get your wonderful meal. None of the other people have tried to join you or anything at this point. Once the servants have laid out the food, they leave the room, leaving you alone to talk as you so choose.
Is Lily back? We were messaging. She said she.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're all eating now?
Yep.
Yeah, we sit down to a large feast. The servants did leave a bell behind in case they were needed to just ring it, and then they would come in. But they are going to retire to the kitchens and to their own dining room. They themselves even make a plate, which is also very unusual because the servants would never eat the same food, or at least not out of the same setting of food that everybody else would in other places. But once everyone made their plate and sat down, then the servants themselves would make a plate from the food that's gathered about, and then they kind of go off to another dining room off to the side.
Now, Izzy is very, very happy to see this, and probably Kara at least would notice that she visibly relaxes.
Yeah. At first, Card seems like he's not going to eat, but then he just sort of relaxes a bit too. Seems a lot more calm. It's been a interesting morning, I guess. I just smile. I guess everyone has been in contact, or at least maybe heard something.
One might say that.
I'll leave that at that.
So Lodrin, what kind of wafting odors do I waft? Like pretty flowers or manure? Like,
Is it putting him off his appetite?
like, what are we talking about here?
It's just a really stale odor, like something that you
Pull your cloak out of the basement.
Moustine's ever been in, like a cave, like a deep cave that hasn't.
Okay, Steen's been in the cave. He's got that. Okay, that's a familiar scent. All right.
Mulch.
Mulch.
Yeah.
Okay, don't know what mulch is.
Mulch is like baby stone?
That's gravel.
So think compost.
Yep.
All right. But it's not like a really bad fart. Yeah. All right.
Musty dirt.
Yeah.
Mushrooms.
Life. Yeah.
Only a little rotten tomato in there.
Wasn't sure if he'd put on some really strong cologne or something.
So in between bites, Izzy's kind of like, well, I've never run a country before.
I know no one wanted this. I don't think a country. I don't fucking country. I think we can do some real good here. I think we can do the right things for the right reasons. We can make Kanos a better place. We can make Ralidar better. And when those type of goals are in sync with our own, politically, those stars are rare to align. I think we can make a difference.
They're lofty goals. I've seen it done poorly enough many times over.
Well, if you know what not to do,
You can do
then-
something else wrong. Yes.
well, at least we can make new mistakes.
You can do the wrong. We'd be the first ones to do it this wrong way. Yeah.
We have to make sure everybody's trained, though.
I think we should just improve upon ourselves and improve the country at the same time.
Well,
We can't make a country better if we can't become better.
it's a responsibility as well. I mean, like I said, I don't have experience running the country, but I know that as a captain, part of your responsibility is to keep your crew safe. We have a lot of people that we need to make sure they're safe.
It's a big responsibility.
About this time, Ileana walks into the room. So, and she looks done up like a pretty new pig.
I mean,
Definitely back to her less solemn and serious self, and emanating some of her previously aforementioned sex appeal as she kind of saunters around. She rips an entire turkey leg off of a turkey that's on one of the platters, and then kind of walks by and then runs her hand along Izzy's shoulder, and then kind of taps Kara on the cheek as she flops into a chair sideways, like with her legs over one of the actual arms of the chair, kind of crossed, and kind of leaning back in a way that accentuates certain parts of her as she kind of looks everybody over. Given what we've just done, I think responsibilities are small considering we saved the world. So, whatever. And she eats big bite out of the turkey leg.
I raise my glass and I'm like, got a point, and then drink.
Not to cast a shadow on anything we've recently done, but we should also start to prepare for the next time. I do feel there's going to be a next time.
Well, whoever summoned those is still out there. Edelmar's still out there.
Mistra mentioned one we may find in Witchwood, and we are going that way very soon. So perhaps we can take the Council of Nine down yet another person.
We'll need people. We'll need a lot of people.
I think what we were doing at the garrison will apply here. We need a way to recruit. We need people, and we need to make them strong.
The Mayorans came with us just because they believe in the cause. I don't know if they may be able to convince others from their orders to join them. Word coming from one of their own may carry more weight than either us or the Phalanx. And to that end, we could recruit some of our own. I don't know how much money we have left over from what we brought back.
You obviously all have money on you. You didn't see a big pile of money that you had from the garrison stockpile, but that no one's told you that they brought that as a part of your personal effects, but that did happen.
Do we know how much that was left?
Let's see. A little over 30,000 gold.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
About 32,000 it looks like, because you've got nearly 3,000 platinum and 2,500 gold pieces.
Okay, so we would know that we had that, even if we don't know that it's been brought over yet?
Yeah, it was, I mean, as far as your understanding is concerned, on what the Archwizard had said, is they'd make sure everything that was those were funds that weren't part of the Phalanx were supplying general maintenance funds, so we didn't care about all those little details as far as, getting people's salaries and all that. Like, we weren't getting into, it's not a counting simulator or whatever, right? And so the lieutenant was just taking care of all that stuff with the regular funds, and then you had your own funds that were contributions made, things that you had sold, money that you specifically put in, or special gifts for doing certain things, and all that stuff is money that was yours. That was your money in a separate account,
Right.
so to speak, to do with as you wished. So as far as
Right.
you know, that was yours.
Okay. So I guess I will mention that and say, I assume that whatever is already being brought in is paying for what we have here, and she kind of gestures to the castle in general. But if we want to hire more people, then we'll need to dip into our remaining money if and when it is brought here. I hope we have a vault. We must have a vault, right?
It wasn't on your tour. You didn't really get much of a tour of the keep, as when you come in, the servants just took you to your own personal stuff. But that seems very reasonable. You haven't seen it yet, but for them
Yeah.
not to have one would be silly.
Yeah, she just says that out loud. And she kind of looks at Steen specifically and says, I don't know how much it costs to hire soldiers and keep them. I don't know if you know that. How much were you paid while you were at the Phalanx?
Wasn't really paid. Kind of just received food, clothing, place to live. All my money I've gotten from being with you guys.
They did have some, they had some spending, they got all the food they wanted or whatever. They did have some
Like a
spending money,
living expansion stipend, for.
and they had a retirement package. So once they retired, they got a bunch of money based on their retirement. They are also completely different than just everywhere in general.
In the wild, the herd is strongest when it's at its greatest number and still able to sustain itself.
Yeah, well, in that kind of vein, I suppose, I was kind of thinking, I don't know what the taxes situation is here or anything like that, but one thing we do have is a lot of land. We have a country. If we wanted to grow our forces quickly, something we might be able to do is offer plots of land in exchange for maybe 5 years of military service.
Ah, maybe everyone should be in military service.
A country of militiamen? That's not a bad idea.
Well, I mean, this place is already mostly retired phalanx, right? Phalanx Florida.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The majority of the population is retired phalanx, but only a slight majority, so to speak. I mean, so like a little bit more than 50% of the population is retired phalanx members. But there was quite a few others that were seeking just fair, just wanted equal work, equal pay, didn't want politics involved. They just wanted to be, kind of left to themselves. And this place has been rather libertarian kind of society, if you will, where there wasn't a lot of rule of law. The government wasn't a very big government as far as control and what they did with the people around them. They enforced small rules, and they took in the taxes they took in, tariffs, etc., were mostly for defense upkeep and service upkeep. So it was a very balanced kind of system. So you before, if you got something out of it, it's because you put something into it, kind of thing. And so they did a few things like common roads and defense and things like building the castle and a little bit of maintaining certain things, but they didn't take very much from the population, which was one reason that was attractive for people to come here. They just had to be held. They just were held to a kind of a moral standard. So that didn't keep all business. Like Tenarians weren't just flooding here for that reason. Oh, small taxes, I'll just go there, because Tenarians' moral standard is different, and therefore would not be as welcome here.
So I'm definitely nodding towards Izzy if she's talking, like agreeing.
We could most definitely hire some of the retired phalanx to train their local residents a couple days a week
Definitely.
until they feel that their people are proficient enough in the time of need. That would reduce crime and prevent banditry, and bandits aren't going to attack a village that can defend itself.
I don't know how much of a problem they have with bandits with all the former phalanx here, but it's not a bad idea to let the citizens who choose to do so learn how to defend themselves. But I thought if also we could parcel out some land for people, that also makes more landowners, more goods, more taxes, more money for us in the long run as well.
Also builds loyalty to the land itself.
Yeah, it's their home.
I suppose just paying mercenaries, which is, definitely going to be a different type of people that are going to be more loyal. That makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely like more than just sell swords.
I mean, we could have a regular garrison and then a militia. There's nothing wrong with that.
Perhaps we could summon for Dardoch. See what he thinks.
Sounds good to me.
Do we have any representation from the wizards here too? Is he still here? Or
The Archwizard is still here, but from the actual wizards, I don't think. Like from the Magister's wizards, I don't think there was. No, I don't believe there was any of those that were still left behind. Although Braden may be able to speak on their behalf to some degree, as he's obviously somewhat in league with Mistra, and therefore, by direct extension, the Magister and all the Tower.
yeah, perhaps if we could get all the representatives we have here, unless there's any more personal business people would like to go over.
Izzy kind of shrugs and is like I said, I've never run a country before.
I nod at her and smile. You seem to be off to a good start. Yeah, I was looking for my list of names. Laura from Lumos clan, Kraith and Melidar from the Miorians, and Eldamar. Oh wait, wrong list.
Edelmar! Ah!
That's the KIA list. No, the wish that was KIA. The KOS list.
Mm-hmm.
I have some thoughts for the Badlands. Lumo, what did you? I may have asked this before, so sorry if I did. But Lumo, did your people have a name for your lands before it was known as the Badlands?
Home.
Home. What's the halfling word for home? I realize someone's gonna have to make this up on the spot.
Yeah.
As far as I know, they and actually I leave it more up to actually Bob on what he on his history of his place, specifically or whatever, but their people were you think of like the Shire from the Lord of the Rings, right? Except for they actually called it the Shire, and they had a country, and it was surrounded by other stuff, right? And they had like borders, but their people were so much more localized communities, and so they didn't have. It wasn't a country. It wasn't a. They didn't think of it as something on a map. It was just they were so small-minded as far as the scope of the world. I'll put it that way. And so they didn't have a name for their country. They just had maybe individual little towns and stuff that, this is our community, this was their community, and so on.
We lived next to the big tree with the oak that springs in that blooms in the fall or something like that. It's landmarks is sort of how we located ourselves, oriented ourselves.
So if I wanted to call it something that's not the Badlands, and somebody wanted to make up a word that is halfling for home that sounded cool.
Spanktopia.
Spanktopia. But names are hard. But yeah, if we could maybe summon those people in.
Okay, so you call for the servants, and then tell them you'd like to see the others as well. One of the servants say there's also been a small group of people who are here who would like to speak to Master Lumo. Would you ask that they wait until after the meeting with those representatives, or for them as well, or first?
I just looked to Lumo.
You guys can have your government talks. I'll go now. Lumo's gonna leave, kind of with a sigh of relief, as he's deathly bored of the government and taxes sort of talk.
You're leaving right before I talk about how to try to heal the Badlands talk.
So the servant kind of, as you kind of get up to leave, the servant kind of comes over to you and says, if you'd like to meet them, this way. And they take you just outside of the keep, where there is kind of an elderly gentleman, definitely balding right on the top, but I mean, he's very friar tucking it as far as that goes. And he's got a long pointed white beard. And with him is a bunch of younger males. And he kind of walks up to you. So, are you Master Lumo?
The title is new, but I do go by Lumo.
Ah, this very interesting old lady, lady. She came to us and told us to find Master Lumo. We were working on a set of teachings, and my students here, they have been thriving, but they have reached all that I can teach. This lady said that you would be the one who could bring them to enlightenment.
Yes. Very yes, I can. But first, we need a place. And this keep, although I appreciate its fortifications, and with recent events, I appreciate them more and more. It's not the place for teaching. I looked out of the castle and I saw that there was a river running towards the ocean, and it's on this river somewhere that we'll find our place to teach and learn.
Yeah, so the river runs mostly like northeast, southwest, on the east side of the keep.
And if you don't mind, I'd like to look for that place sooner, as he looks back at the castle, rather than later.
The old man just kind of nods. I know that you're the one to lead the way. As you wish, we shall search. We were given the sign. The sun did not set for 3 days as we moved to this place. That was our sign. I am Kegel. And these are my students. And there's about 10 young adults, and so he's an old human man, but there's a couple of half elves, a couple of halflings, a couple of humans, and one full elf, all intermingled throughout. So there's a pretty diverse set of students. You can see him concentrate for a minute as you can see all the muscles in his body tense and tighten, and after just a moment you can see a radiation of light beam from him as radiant energy starts to emanate in a small aura, and everyone around him, including yourself, feel invigorated due to this radiant energy. And then he fires a shot straight up into the air that looks very similar to your radiant sunbolt.
I'm gonna fire my Big AoE ball just to meet it.
Dwarfing his, so even your radiant sunbolt is, you can see that it's almost a solid projectile, vibrant and crackling with steep energy, and his is barely with whisper of almost smoky energy, as it's very weak by comparison. And then you throw out the big one instead, and it's just like fireworks go off next to a bottle rocket. You know, like a full fireworks display next to a bottle rocket.
The students all go, ooh.
They're all just kind of literally starstruck. Eyes wide open and just staring. And then they just all kind of bow down on their knees in a full bow. Each in turn kind of giving, proclamation of their vow to follow and train under you.
All right. If you're bowing, you're not learning. Let's get to it.
All right. So, and then you're going to leave the keep and head off to try to find some training grounds.
Yes.
Okay. And that also gives you an exit stage left IRL as well. But then,
Yep. Kids have fun.
good luck on the game.
Thank you.
Have fun.
Baseball.
Mhm.
So, and then we can kind of pan back. Camera zooms back in on the keep, back in the meeting room, as the servants went and retrieved the Archwizard and Dardoc. Anybody else that you wanted them to gather while we were doing?
I was thinking maybe not the Lumo people now, but the Maladorians.
Oh, yes, yep.
If I don't know if Laura was with Lumo, though that then or not.
No, they actually they came through. They never came into the keep. They actually went down more into the lower area and kind of set up their own like little camp with tents and stuff, as a place to kind of camp out in the entry part of the castle. But the servants could send for her if you so wish her to join.
If she wanted to join.
And you say you would tell her the purpose of the meeting being, the restoration of the Badlands as part of that. Yeah, then she would definitely attend. That is her primary focus. Other than securing people, sending, she's going to send some people. They already did leave some behind to try to seek out other pockets of their people that they knew to exist but hadn't found yet. And then, but everybody else came with entirely for this meeting. And the subsequent action. Just put some in so don't forget.
I suppose if it took Laura a little longer to get there, we could start with so many names. Why didn't I write them all on the same paper? Dardoc. I guess we could start about Izzy's and everyone's idea with him, but we wait for the rest.
Okay. Yeah. So presenting that the land parcel to Dardark. He's at first he's going to be a little, like, I don't know what you guys do whatever you want. Y'all are in charge. And then you pot it.
I do tell him that his counsel is prized. He
Yeah.
knows this land more than the rest of us.
You prod him a little bit to try to be candid, as you actually want counsel, not a yes man, and he realizes that. But he's still a little bit. You can see he's definitely changed since those events. Especially considering when you first met him, he was extremely grim and pissed off at everything in the world and all that, and now he seems to just be.
Oh, is that the guy we met first, who was like, pretty much fuck all the wizards, they fucked us?
He wasn't the first guy. That was Tregarian.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But he was kind of de facto in charge of the remainder of that force.
That's right. Because their officers had been killed. Like, they didn't have any officers left, but he was, Grunt Man. That kind of. He was just like the highest ranking Grunt Man. And so, his outlook had been kind of reverent for the most part to you all specifically. When he said that he owes you more than his life, it seems like he's maybe gone a little too far in all of his interactions since then as to being beholden to you. And so it's taken a bit of convincing to get him to be true. It's like we don't want that. I just want you to tell me what the fuck you believe. Just do it.
Yeah.
And then it kind of sinks in, what kind of people you are, that he eventually starts, opening up about those things. And yeah, in general, he's quite happy with this idea. Something that had been discussed before, but they didn't really need the numbers. They were getting enough from the expeditionary force that could fill the garrisons, stuff like this, and so they never felt the need to go that far. But they do have a lot of land that is just unparceled, that isn't owned by anyone, that could be divvied out, and he kind of agrees with your reasoning as well, that not only would it generate more income down the road from taxes, etc., tariffs, just better economy because you're making more goods and services, but also the loyalty that comes with it, the beholdenness to the country and to the cause for those that would actually take up such an offer. And he knows, they had kept a lot of it specifically. There were some people that tried to come in and wanted to do it, and they had to buy their land away, and they had made their land exceedingly expensive on purpose so that it wasn't, the people that come in that wanted this opportunity had to invest in it and had to agree to some pretty high moral standings, which is also why the Tenarians didn't do it. But the cost barrier to entry kept a lot of people who were good people and who could have been very beneficial out. They just didn't need them at the time. And now that we need them, lowering that cost, good people with good skills would be willing to pay this cost because they can, where they couldn't actually pay the monetary cost that was there before.
Izzy nods at this and says, yeah, we should make sure that they go through basic training before we give away the land, to make sure that they do meet those moral standards after we've spent some time with them. And then once they've passed basic training, then we can give them the land.
Now, is farmland we're giving, or is it like, are we asking them to be farmers, or are we just giving them acres of some fucking rocks in a mountain. I don't know the
initial
There's a lot of pastures.
hopes. Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say, I mean, it's maybe a question for Drad, but the initial idea from Izzy was they'd be farmland, like they could bring their families and.
Mm-hmm. A good plan. Another good idea is the complete service, and that would or complete, I guess, training, right?
Mhm.
Then they can purchase their land at a low cost, and we be exempted from taxes until the end of the first harvest. That way, they have a chance to make money to pay taxes.
Sounds good.
That way, they're able to be more focused on the farming instead of worrying about the pennies. And then once the harvest is in, it's taxed out. So they essentially get like 9 months of free rent.
Car's just nodding at Steen and Izzy. You can tell Car's pretty pleased with everything you were saying.
Dean's read books.
Good thing he has. Wolfen hasn't.
I've read books just a long, long time ago. In a galaxy not our own.
Yeah, you have your this conversation about Dradicus who away that stuff started as the others arrive. Laura and the Mayorans and Braden.
Welcome the men. So there's plenty of food left if you would like to eat.
Yeah, I get a few tankards filled up for everybody. Priorities here.
Mm-hmm.
So they all kind of come in, gather up some food and drink, sit down. You can notice that Laura specifically has got, apprehensive about the large amount of food, and these are things that are very foreign to them. And so she gets this like little bitty plate that's got just a couple of small bites. And sits down.
I'll bring over like a like a bigger plate with more finger food, like fruits and cheeses and stuff, and I'll place it down a little bit more pointedly in front of her, and just say, "Welcome to Kanos." It's like big enough that everybody can nibble off it, but
Yeah, she's definitely like this is like weeks worth of food,
yeah. Probably see her sneak a few pieces into her pocket like Lumo always used to do.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Always thinking of the scarcity.
Yeah.
So takes a couple of bites and then kind of a long, slow breath out. Well, we are eager to know. So why don't you tell us? Why are we here? And what are we doing?
I have a couple of ideas. What is the Archwizard's name? Or do we just know him as Archwizard?
Braden.
Yeah, Braden. I'd like to know about the barrier, Braden. What powers it, really?
He kind of like smacks a little. there's the hard answer, and then there's the easy answer. So I think I'm going to go with the easy answer.
Very well.
The lodestones are channeling crystals, of which energy is drawn both from Gaia herself, from the cosmos, and more specifically, directly through Mystra's plane. The lodestones channel those energies into a single focal point, which holds the barrier in place.
What if we took it down?
Izzy like chokes on a grape that she was eating.
The barrier has ultimately created a petri dish of evil that culminated the undead, the demons, and the devils playing Rochambeau to see who gets to start Armageddon. Concentrated evil.
That
is
might
ultimately
be a bit misguided representation of the facts. The concentration is purposeful, yes. But it didn't cause them to exist. It didn't cause them to be there. It just keeps them there instead of where other people are.
gives them a foothold.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, not many want to travel into the Badlands in its own right. But none are prevented from going there. Only the evil is prevented from leaving. At least by intention.
If we were able to give a compelling reason to do so, something that would work, if we found a way to make it work, could we redirect that power from the barrier into something else?
It's theoretically possible. Although it would be no small undertaking, and that else, it's hard to say what the else could be.
What would you direct it into?
I would like to start some experiments into reclaiming the land from the Badlands. Send druids, clerics, paladins, wizards. See what it takes to undesecrate that land. We are at a great place to do so, because water flows from the mountains, but the Badlands it's not taking the water. If we could figure out why, figure out how to heal that, how to get the water back into the lands, we could reclaim it in its entirety. It would take time, but I would like to send a group down there to figure out what would stick.
He thinks about it for a little bit. I said, perhaps we know the power that holds the desecration in place is far greater than the mortal magics. But that doesn't mean it can't be manipulated by mortal magics. In a way. With the right amount of efforts, we probably could do as you say, make reclamations, but I don't know that pulling down the world's defenses against all that is contained there would be the avenue we would wish to take to make it happen. Now perhaps we could, especially considering one lodestone fails to work and some of the others nearby they hold firm for now, but there's some concern that they may begin to wane as a chain reaction, eventually bringing them all down as it is. But we need to eliminate the evil contained within, not let it spread and hide. We at least know where it is now. If we were to take down maybe a couple that are nearby the one that is already down, force combined defenses along that area so that the evil still could not escape, but through the efforts of people, not necessarily through magic. Maybe make the redirection to see if we can undo some of the harm that the desecration has caused. It's possible.
I know we would not be able to heal the whole land overnight, but if we could just... an acre, just a part of land, somewhere to start. I know this is not a small undertaking. It would probably be the biggest thing mortals have ever done in Ralidar, but I think we're at the time. It's the time to do this.
I'll see if we can't try some manipulation. I'll work with our new Magister. Perhaps his insight could let us to do some experimentation, as you say, and see if we can't make that progress in a localized manner. If it turns out to be the case where we could be successful, if we gain enough ground, we might not need the barrier. But I would definitely caution, its existence is still for a reason. Maybe if there was more phalanx, enough to guard the entire border, we could afford to get rid of it. But especially with our now reduced numbers, we can't guard the entirety of the border and at a strength that would be unleashed should the border be gone.
We had started some recruiting efforts when we were stationed at the garrison in Tenaria.
Definitely a wise decision. I think our recruitment needs to be widespread and, in a way, unprecedented for generations, perhaps back to the founding. We have taken only those that have won the tournaments, but perhaps we should be looking to those that have similar goals of heart as well, not just strength and skill, but maybe strength of heart.
We did mention a plan to Dardoch as well. I don't know if you saw him leaving on your way in.
Kind of nods.
We're hoping to start a larger recruitment effort up here as well, if we may be able to form a partnership with our forces. If ours can help yours in any way, or if any of yours can help with training, things like that. I'm sure we could help each other out.
That we can make happen quite easily.
Especially if there are any other wizards such as yourself who may be able to scout the new recruits to see if there are any that are more inclined to the arcane. And I nod at the Mayorans, and if you might be able to find any who are skilled in the healing arts and things of that nature.
We could definitely use some new blood, both those strong in arm and mind, those steeped in compassion and conviction. We could see that happen. I think now, with the need greater, we could be a little less close-minded in those we approach and the reasoning behind approaching them, as we have much to do and not nearly the resources to do it, at least as is.
Do you think any of your fellows in Mayora would heed a call if you were to tell them what had happened? See if anyone else would be willing to come and help with reinforcements. as well as maybe with this experimentation to reclaim the Badlands.
So, Kraith, who's the leader of the Paladins, he was the rather gruff individual, and he's going to kind of come, to pretty much stand. So he kind of slams his fist on the table because he's just all about being dramatic in his action. And he's like, the majority of my fellows are sold to the coin in addition to their conviction. But that is not where they started. And that is not what is the best of them. They can be shown the light. And I think through the actions that have taken, many could be converted, could be convinced that it isn't gold that fills their hearts. It only fills their pockets. It is truth. It is conviction. It is purpose. And there is purpose. And with that, if they do not, then they are not true to themselves. We could see it happen.
Izzy kind of, with Liliana there, she kind of leans across the table. It's like a strong man with a solid argument. I'm sure you could make them see reason.
And then he just kind of huffs and then sits down real hard in his chair and then crosses his arms, nodding.
Laura, could you possibly help lead some of these people down the mountains into your lands looking for suitable sites to try some of these experiments?
My people know these lands and could show them places that are safe. The wizard's not wrong when he says that there are dangers out there that even we avoid. We avoid them because we had to. For those of you that have lived on this side, have lived a life of luxury, not knowing how to fear, at any moment the evil could come crashing upon you as they wander and hoard. Well, we can help create some level of safety. But I would not get rid of your main defenses against such a thing until we can take the fight to them. But yes, in task we share this motivation. We would love to see our lands be like yours once again. It is our solemn charge to see it happen and to guide you through it as best we can. But we must also find some of our other people, and the more of us that we can find, the more help that we can supply.
You'll have all the help we have to offer.
She just kind of nods. I'm just kind of looking around at each other, like, just nodding. Yeah, I think we know what we can do.
Good. Time to get to work then, I suppose, unless anybody has anything else.
Yes, I thank you all for coming. I believe we can do a lot of good here. I believe we can change the face of Ralidar for the better, with all of us working together.
After kind of all having a bite, they each in turn kind of get up and share their agreements in both mission and action, and they kind of each leave. Dardock is the last to leave.
I asked Dardock if I could see him in a few moments alone.
Okay. Yeah. So as he's kind of getting up to go out, he agrees. He says, "Yes, I'd be happy to meet again." Then he kind of, as he leaves, he stops and he turns. He's like, "I know, I've heard that you aren't long to stay, and I understand. I will begin carrying your action, but in your absence, what would you have done? And how would you see it? Well, how would you see it done in your absence?"
You speak for us. You start.
He immediately like holds up his hands out in front, like, no, 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 no. I couldn't presume to speak for you. I can carry out your orders. I have quite a bit of experience with carrying out orders, but I would not dare speak for you.
We want what's best for the country and for the world, so things that make that better while we're gone.
You can start helping all the people here work together, serve as kind of the liaison for us and everyone here. We can start working on sectioning up the land and what criteria you want to use. We want to use to start our recruiting of people. Can work with Laura and the Mayorans and the wizards about sending people south into the mountains, trying to see if we can't start with the land. I do take a second to ask Laura how her people are doing. Do they have everything they need?
So yeah, before she left, she would definitely have said, that the kind of world that they live in now, or that they're, that this place and the supplies that they've been given is such an overabundance compared to anything they've ever had. And so for that, they're grateful that their people could actually enjoy what you folk would consider normal lives at some point. That option is now out there, when before that was, they didn't even know that existed. But they're still kind of reeling by the luxury of it all, not knowing how to adapt. They're just so out of culture, out of place, that they're learning, and it will take time. But their minds are open, which is different.
You're always welcome to the keep. Our resources are your resources, so. I guess I turn back to the Dardock, and you can also find some people to assist in finding the rest of the halflings.
Yep. He just kind of nods. We'll see it all done, and then steps out.
So I go with him for a moment to the side. I ask him, Dardock, do you have people who can work discreetly?
He just kind of looks from side to side. The scouts have been known to take such action. We know when stealth is appropriate. We know when deception is appropriate.
Perhaps as part of our recruitment, or maybe under the guise of Phalanx recruitment, I would like some people sent to Kragos to gather information.
Very well. It can be done. Kragos is a source of strong power. Many of our finest have come from there. It would be nothing to set up recruitment as done in the past, all the while keeping an ear to the ground.
Yes, I believe there are a lot of things I can't say here now at the moment, but I believe.
Izzy's gonna clear her throat and kind of lean into Yukar and say, I had put out a few feelers as well. I need to speak to somebody to see if anything has come from that.
Give her a very warm smile at that, indeed. So yes, make it so, Dardoch. I thank you.
He nods and then turns and walks away. Give me just 1 second. Something's buzzing. I want to see if that's a storm thing or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's see what's going on. 1 second.
I didn't do it.
Not it.
I know I got these 2 new spells. I didn't do it.
Sure.
So, Lily talks amongst herself. Let me copy and paste what Lily sent me.
Back at the computer, but I need to check on something. We got a couple of nice tornado warnings. I just want to see what's going on with it.
Oh, yikes.
So that was from Lily. It's a odd character. I would like to really start referring to something besides the Badlands, and I also don't necessarily want to name it for them, and I realize they're the type they don't really have the names for it or borders or whatnot. It has something I have thought about, like how to handle that in the future, because they're living in a world with borders. So if anybody has, if we can ever call it something besides the Badlands, and get them to want to call it that, not just tell them like, "Whoa, it was the Badlands. Now we renamed it this."
I did the same thing while I was waiting.
Ronan. That almost
Yeah.
sounds, yeah. So I don't know. We'll throw that out there. And I guess I may have mentioned when it was just us two that I do kind of have an idea if we are able to get the first small plot of land healed. I have an idea for a temple. Which would not be a Kragan temple, but it would have like representations of Coda, of Mistra, of Aluna, maybe even oh fuck. The Magister, we just learned his name since he's somewhat deity.
Arden.
Arden, yeah. Sort of a tribute to all of the gods that have helped us get to here and hopefully continue to help us in the future.
Yeah, we could put in the plans to build that here in the castle even.
Well, I was thinking like if it was on the first part of if assuming this works like this, if we had the first part of the Badlands that was healed, like a temple would also be like refuge, like undead wouldn't really be able to like just stomp into a temple like that. This would also, I guess, kind of be up to Laura too. but maybe we would do it in the keep. I don't know. It's just concepts at this point. But I would have, I guess, mentioned that to you all a little bit.
We could definitely take some of the funds to build a temple and get, a true. We could actually build the true temple, so to speak, from like the strongholds and followers kind of rule sets to maybe get some followers that come specifically for the temple that could aid you, some allies, etc. With some actual tangible benefits that go alongside it. But we can take care of that, so to speak, off screen.
Yeah.
As we try to figure out what that entail, costs, etc. Don't get bogged down by that kind of thing. Totally available to be done.
And Kara mentioned too a little bit about when doing what's right and doing what gives us power align, and he kind of feels, and I feel like that's definitely something that's happening at least right now. I mentioned this off. It was a couple of us were online, but like bringing attention to the gods that help us, this also gives them a little more favor, which in return hopefully gives us a little more favor. There's a little bit of the vying for power going on here.
That is true. And if you mentioned that, Izzy would be like kind of enthusiastic about putting a little shrine for Arden in there as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it didn't really come out in the natural speaking, but like the tenants for Mistra Carr's been really running that over in his head. And just to it is in my notes though. Seek balance, be true to your heart and yourself, defend love and loved ones, vie for power and use it responsibly. So that everything Carr's kind of been doing, that's really in the back of his head right now. I guess I mean, from being there, that would probably be pretty easy to see, I think. God, all that schooling's paying off, Wolfen. Look at that shit.
Yeah, this
Bullet
is good.
points.
Wolfen knows things, all right?
It's awesome.
I would just suggest if anybody got the little stars for that, Wolfen and Izzy, y'all had some cool. You're gonna make some politicians, man. Carr's proud of you guys.
Thank you.
I was already handing out stars when you just said that. Actually, like literally at the same time.
But that is a pretty good recruitment policy.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have mentioned to Bijou that possibly after we help her father, if she wanted to have some of her troops here, so like some cross training kind of thing, they can train from these guys and then they can go back and maybe you can cycle different ones in and out.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's definitely advantages to hiring different styles of trainers to train the military in our militia.
She would be for the idea, but I think Bijou's gonna have to travel back home or talk to her uncle before that happens.
I mean, we just gotta be careful that the training doesn't come up short.
so Taft road trip. Oh God, I just got it. Oh man, yeah. Right now, Bob just threw a bad pitch or something.
Bat slipped out of his hands, killed somebody. But we'll know why.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I'm so proud of myself.
Bishi did send that letter back with the remaining troops from Taft as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting for them to show up again in one of our dire moments, and they'll be like fully like crazy elite military.
I hope so.
Like Jekyll and Hyde kind of difference here.
Yeah. It's like full on Navy SEALs with like shaved heads and arm tats, and they show up and they're all like, just ready to get shit done.
Everyone's got mohawks, lumberjack beards.
I would. Are you back, Drad? Mostly.
Yeah. No, we're good now. Yeah, we're good. Sorry.
I would. I didn't. I think this whole thing out, but or word it out. I'd like to maybe try to send a message to Uther.
Mm-hmm. That's the good uncle, not the other's uncle.
Uther's.
Gotta make sure I don't get those two crossed because I've already done it like 3 times. So.
Yeah, sorry, I made them both uncles to somebody. I'm trying to refer to him as just Uther from now on instead of uncle.
What's the bad uncle's name?
I will have to look that up.
Because I don't remember. I mean, if you send it to me in a document, I have it. I just definitely don't know it off the top of my head.
I'll put a pin in that. No, I'll get that to you tonight. Because I'll have to find out what document I had his name in. But to Uther's starting something in Kanos. If there are people who have to get out of Kragos for their own safety, but are still willing to fight, they can come here.
Yep, you have a sneaking suspicion that your uncle has been somewhat hard to find for certain people, but yet at the same time you know that he's been trying to gather crowds and rally favor and several other things. So you're pretty sure that you can get word to him either magically or directly. You use the actual sending spell? Or...
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think, let's see. Go ahead and roll me a D100. So I'll roll some dice in this D&D game we got here. Since we had literally not rolled a single dice yet.
What dice are we? Oh, we're rolling dice? Woo!
Yeah, we didn't even roll any of our login dice.
Yeah, that was weird.
Login dice.
Yeah, usually we all roll d20s just
Oh, yeah.
because we're here.
Mm-hmm.
Because we exist.
Mm-hmm.
Just remind me, sending is the 2-way? Is that the 2-way?
Let me...
If you're using a spell slot, not a cantrip, I think it's 2-way.
We used it as 2-way last time. Actually, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm reading it, but it doesn't... Oh, yeah, and can answer it in a like manner immediately.
Okay. So you do get a message back. And it's just simply, I knew I could count on you. And that's it.
Cars gonna get all misty-eyed so many times a day.
Oh.
Yeah, I got worried because I was watching Critical Role, and I guess there's the cantrip send message, and there's sending. They're two different things. And he was like, "Yeah, there's a range of 120 feet." And I was like, "Oh, I was sending that shit across the continent last time."
No, but yeah, the sending spell can go across even multiple, can go to different planes of existence even. It just, I think that's its shtick.
The cantrip one is the thing that, like, Lumos people can do, right?
Effectively, yes.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna add that too because it's kind of handy. I think.
Lazy's gonna stand up and be kind of like, well, if we're all done here, I kind of want to go check out the harbor.
Should we dump all of our extra stuff off in our rooms before we get out?
Oh, we were gonna stay here the night, weren't we?
Yeah.
I guess seeing Laura and whatnot, and thinking of people who have not been as well off. I do make sure none of the food gets wasted. Make sure the food never gets wasted.
Izzy says, now you're talking. Just to nobody, apparently.
Yeah.
But I'll walk with Izzy to the docks just to stretch my legs and see some water again.
So, Izzy, you when you head to the docks, there are two big ships. There are two masted ships, so especially quite big for the river outlet this far in. Which kind of gives you that sense of comfort. You know, the smell of it's not sea because it is fresh water here. A lot of the harbor, because of the way the sea actually pours into the main harbor quite a bit, so the salt water all along the country's inlet, and then the river itself flows from the mountains up to the inlet is all fresh water. But
Right.
So you don't get the smell of the sea, but yet something about those big masted ships at least brings you back to a place of comfort, a place that you haven't been to in a while.
Like hearing the creaking ropes and everything is just... Yeah, she's pretty happy about that. Being that it's sort of a port, I guess, she would go looking for a tavern or something where soldiers would gather and get into mischief.
Yeah, so the harbor itself has one road that comes directly from the harbor around to the city. And then they have the stairs and lift system that goes into the keep. So there's obviously some stuff that travels through the keep, but by and large, the more the mercantile nature of things takes the road around the keep to the actual city itself. And so it wouldn't be hard at all to find some rowdy bunch taverns and the like where at least festivities are happening.
And Car came with?
Yeah.
Alright, she's gonna go buy each of them a tankard of ale. Hand it over to him.
I smile at her and drink.
And then I think she's basically just she's probably going to get to know some of the sailors. Just kind of get a sense of what life in this area is like. Because I imagine not all of them are from elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
She probably play some gambling games and cheat just enough to keep up with anybody else who's cheating.
Anybody else who's cheating?
Yeah.
Do they are there anyone who are we being noticed yet? Or are we just kind of two people in the crowd?
By and large, you're still just kind of people in the crowd for the most part. There's nobody, like, you didn't have a accompaniment of guards or anything that came with you. They did ask, you know, as you left, it's like, do you want us to come as protection or any of that?
Oh, if you'd be like, no.
I didn't want any of that nonsense, right? And so, yeah, so you just kind of go in and nobody knows you here. I mean, really, nobody actually knows you, so you're just people.
But yeah, I'm also just kind of a lot of listening, but trying to get to know some of the people too. I meant to ask what the pulse of the group of the country was, but I had a lot of things on my notes, so I guess I'm just trying to get a vibe for that down on street level.
Yeah.
By and large, most people seem to be happy. Like, there's not a lot of crime. Most people, like, even the lower classes of people, aren't very destitute in that regard. So there's not a lot of, like, just beggars and homeless, and there's not this population which is normal to big cities that exists. It's very minor here. Most people take care of each other, and so in a lot of ways, it's kind of ideal in that situation, but also a little naive as well, in how give and take people are with their compassion, and compared to many of the other places you've been, it's a relatively happy place, and in fact probably happier than several other, even like Rodrin City, which is a very big city. You didn't get much time on the inside of that city because you were mostly outside of it or whatever, but people in Rodrin across the board seem to be just rather, going about their lives and being happy, but or at least mediocre, where people are festive and enjoying their life. Just unheard of in a lot of places. Definitely not Tenarian. Definitely not other port cities or other, not Demir. There's a lot of cutthroat action there. There's a lot of, high risk, high reward. Also high risk, big setback. Not as much here.
Yeah, Izzy would throw out just a couple of very subtle thieves' can't kind of signals to see if anybody picks up on it, just to kind of get an idea of if there is any underground here and like who she should kind of be looking out for.
Yeah, you're getting a little feedback on the thieves' cant, a little acknowledgement, if you will. There exists a network of people that are in communication along those lines.
I'm going to try and find a bookstore.
Holy shit, the world has ended.
I was not
But
expecting that.
Steen's not stupid, all right? He's
He might actually be the smartest one in the group. From a stat perspective.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
No. Steen's a trained
His type of
magician.
Bijou. Yeah.
He's not naturally magical. He's well, I mean, he is because he's a genocide, but like magically knowledge is reading and studying. So he's got them book smarts. He can read things. He only knows 2 languages though.
Yeah.
He's no prodigy.
But yeah, no, you can find some bookstores. I'm trying to look for some things there.
Yep. Need books on how to run a government and failed governments.
Yeah, there's, I mean, at least from a history perspective, Rise and Fall of Nations, there's going to be some books on that topic for sure. Probably not a whole lot of this country got it right, but more like this country got it wrong. And
Yeah. That's how those books are written. It talks about the good stuff.
All right, so we've got.
And while I'm out and about, I want to analyze the current, like, the variation in traders and like trade goods and stuff. See if there's a variety in trade goods or if it's mostly just local, or that kind of stuff.
On that aspect, food they've got covered. Food, water. As far as they export quite a bit of those things. They don't export a lot of water, but they export a lot of food, grain.
Here's some ocean. Deal with it.
That kind of thing. But they do have to import quite a bit of metals, minerals, ore. And they do have some lumber, but it's not enough to facilitate everything, so they do import lumber from some other countries as well. They do have some minerals, especially closer to the mountains. But a lot of different metals and those kinds of things, they have to get a lot of those from elsewhere for making armor, those kinds of things.
All right.
Also, not a lot of natural oil either. So, for things like lanterns and they've got the same kinds for like whaling, the animal fat kind of based stuff, tallow for candles. They've got a little of that from their actual farms, but not enough to sustain what is actually used. So there's they import some of those things, different oils and fats from other places. Alright, so we got a couple drinking, we got one studying. What else is going on?
Bijou actually would have gone to find the servants earlier that went and ate somewhere else, and she talked to them.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because in Taft, like, everybody's equal, even if they're servants.
Yeah, you're getting that vibe here as well. In fact, as I was kind of saying earlier, the servants are quite proud to be in this position. It pays well, actually, to be in such a esteemed servant position, especially within the castle and keep. And many people fight for the right to be here.
Well, I would go and talk to them and get all the gossip about what's going on.
Oh yeah, they are very well open to chit-chat. All servants love good gossip, and so they are definitely going to be lively when it comes to a bunch of names. It'll start with a lot of names of people specifically, maybe some well-to-do merchants and noble-ish kind of people talking about, how they did this thing, or they made themselves look silly by overstepping their bounds here, and you get a little gossip about stuff that you don't really have a direct relation to, but it seems interesting just for the culture of it. and the place, and how when they talk about it, you know, if they did something bad or wrong, they're not demeaning them in that regard. They're just pointing out, you know, so they're not like trying to make fun of. Did you see her? She's so fat, or whatever. They're not that kind of gossip. But more of the intrigue of those things.
Okay, she would follow them around for the rest of the day until she ran into somebody else, but just the back side of the castle and finding all the nooks and crannies.
Mm-hmm. You know, the little hidden places, or the just
Out of the way places.
yeah, just the here's this random hallway in a storage room, or any of those things. Just a room behind another room. Just trying to get a scope for the layout of everything. And even the servants will walk with you and talk with you about it, and would even be happy to show you around. And this is, they're not really sure about who everybody is. They just know that they've done such a great thing, and how y'all are all very important, and they're just very happy to be a part of making positive change in the world. Even if their part is small, it's still a part.
I would like to point out that a lot of forces in the universe had to line up, and things had to happen to be a universe where Carr would be dancing right now.
Izzy is so happy right now.
Yeah, with everything Carr and Izzy's doing, Izzy would get a sense of this is who Carr used to be.
She has a really big grin on her face, but she's also getting pretty drunk, so take that as you will. She she kind of looks around the room, like scoping it out a little bit, and then she's kind of like, none tonight. First of all, it's weird. Would you be watching? Can you see? No, that I'm gonna keep you in the scabbard, because that's nope. She laughs and she's like, not in that form, you shouldn't. Plus, I'm pretty sure she's with Nalar. I mean, I don't know if that's exclusively, but you know, she might be too. I don't know. There's one way to find out, I guess. She kind of hiccups.
Am I still near when she's having this conversation?
Oh yeah,
with the sword?
yeah. She's just talking out loud, and I think probably to anybody else it looks like she's just talking at you. But you're like, she's definitely not talking to me.
And just say, Eliana, you and your sword are gonna have some fun.
I think he's sweet on her, but I need to tell him that he needs to get in line.
More of a crowd than a line at this point.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, Carr knew once he res Nalar, a booty call tonight.
I
Yeah.
mean, she didn't seem not open to it. She was still flirting with you, even when he was alive. But I imagine they head back pretty late, and Izzy is quite drunk, and she's getting a little bit philosophical with Carr on the way back, and she's like, so when they die, they don't really stop being, they just go to another plane, or a sword, or a ring, and she holds up her hand in front of her face with that mind shielding ring on it, and kind of looks at it a little bit too closely, like she's seeing two of them.
I think they possibly can channel their essence through an item.
You think he's not really in the sword?
I don't necessarily think he is the sword, but the sword is the medium which he comes through.
Oh.
It's like a tuning fork, possibly.
You know, I was talking to him last night. I didn't know he could talk back. That was unexpected.
And it turns out, it seems like Red Blade is by far the most vocal of all the sentient weapons.
Yeah.
He's a troublemaker, that's why.
Yeah, a little bit. So all the others have just kind of given like a single encouragement, or here, you know, I am actually here, or whatever, and Red Blade's just going on. He's trying to get you laid. He's, you know, like all this.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys, if you haven't, you should look at the Twitch stream.
Oh yeah. I guess I forgot about that. I probably would have already opened it.
Yeah. It's pretty funny. So yeah, Izzy's just kind of like going on about, you know, after death or whatever, and that, you know, of course Red Blade is being a little forward with Ileana and everything, and she would tell you that she had been talking to him last night and tried to show him her tattoo, but of course he doesn't have eyes because he's in a sword, but maybe not in a sword. She doesn't know. But she's just doing the usual like chatty Izzy thing, except drunk.
So extra chatty.
Yeah.
With a side of "I love you, man."
Yeah, pretty much. You're great. You know that? I'm so happy for you that you got to talk to Valia. That's great. She sounds real nice.
I smile at her. Yes, that was unexpected today.
It's very close to how my real life Saturday night went.
All right, so we all find things to do for the afternoon, and that wanes on into the actual evening. Do our festivities, go home to our new home, I guess, to our new beds. Get a night's sleep, and wake up the next day prepared to meet the world again.
So, I mean, this is more or less a military keep. Is that correct, or is it just
a lot more and a lot less?
Car's going to kind of get up early and do a bit of a jog.
The keep does have quite a bit of luxury within it, but by and large, it is very military.
Yeah, he's gonna do a bit of a run and realize he hasn't really ran in a long time and regret it halfway through, but try to push on. And he may, if there's some like training dummies, some training type things going on, he will probably practice his swordplay a bit and then do kind of the typical military morning kind of thing, and maybe meet a few people around the keep, and then get cleaned up and whatever, and meet everyone else for whatever's going on.
When Izzy gets up, she's gonna shuffle downstairs and probably outside to look for Lodrin. See if he has any of those good berries.
Yeah, I didn't drink nearly as much as her.
She's not as bad as she was during the last bender, because she still remembers everything, I think. But yeah.
So Lodrin spent the better part of the evening outside the front of the keep, kind of past the gateway leading into the main courtyard there, performing a ritual to kind of summon or grow a grove type area.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you could very much do that, and since it's unlike before where you just made green grass through desert, the fact that living things already exist and there's the occasional tree already, you just foster that further growth into even from the natural aspect of the trees that are native to this area. Grove forms of a considerable patch.
Just somewhere he could be content being barefoot.
So what does it look like? Is it just like little, like just planted trees kind of look, or?
Are we looking at Fangorn Forest kind of deal, or are we looking at the trees naturally vary quite a bit, just as they do here in Arkansas. So you could go everything from...
Yeah, it's going to be mostly just like 6 or 7 large shade trees. And then just an assortment of underbrush that just kind of almost like it purposely leads out of the way for natural walking paths.
Oh, is that like inside the castle walls or outside? Yeah, okay. So she would head that way and kind of make her way through the trees over to you, just washing her feet to make sure she's not stepping on anything that you're trying to grow.
And the mome rats.
Yeah, it's still a sight to behold. As you came back through here. You may have passed Lodrin on your way back in. All 3 of him that you saw as you were headed back to bed. But then when you wake up this morning and come out, there's trees where there were not trees. So it's still a bit of a sight to behold.
Yeah.
For a split second, I thought he was doing like Critical Role and there's going to be 3 of him now.
Oh, no, we're not Pumat Souling it here. No.
No, Izzy's just drunk.
That's way too much beard. Lodrin's going to like turn to regard you.
She's kind of rubbing her head a little bit and was like, "Hey, Lodrin, a few days ago when you gave us those little berry things?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any more of those?"
Need to put her in rehab.
Yep.
Oh, I suppose so.
Good berries were that good.
He's going to lean down real close, like right next to you, right in your face, go, "Do you know somebody who needs some?"
Ah. Yep.
And Lodrin now has a faithful addict. in his pocket.
You're
You can say-
enabling her to do bad things.
You
Take it away.
have turned her into a thrall. She doesn't need anyone to make her booze. She's got it covered.
I'm gonna
Just
jug for
needs
that.
good berries. She was independent for about a day.
Hey, it was more than a day.
You're going to see Lodrin kind of pluck a sprig of what looks to be like mistletoe out from one of his robes, or his cloak actually, and he kind of casts a spell. When he opens his hand again, he offers it towards you, and there's 10 berries. There's 3 yellow ones, 3 red ones, and 3 kind of purpley colored ones, and 1 just kind of off brown.
She kind of looks at it and she's like, "What? Are they different kinds, or?"
I couldn't say.
She kind of shrugs and is like, "Okay, well, thanks." And she takes one of the purple ones and eats it.
Except his beard's on his head in that picture.
Does it do anything weird?
Just one sec. I need you to roll a D100.
Oh boy.
Either that's a really high roll or a bad time.
So you eat the good berry, and it's sweet, and it tastes very similar to the one that you'd had before. The one that you'd eaten before really, it was almost instantaneously made your head feel immediately better. This takes the roaring avalanche that's in your head, calms it to just this mild ache. But you're not feeling you're still not 100%, but it's still there. But it's definitely a lot better.
I don't get the rush of euphoria that I got with the last one.
You do not. Yeah, you do not. You don't make it back to status quo, but you make a good distance of the way back to status quo.
He tricked you with a detox berry.
Well, you can probably see the tension in her face kind of relaxes because she's feeling better, and she's like, "Yeah, thank you." She kind of looks around. She's like, "I didn't think I was that drunk last night. This wasn't here before."
Well, Dark Dog did say this place was ours.
You grew this in one night? All these
It
big
was a very
trees.
deliberate ritual, but yes.
Wow. You know, with you around, they might actually be able to fix the Badlands. Anyway, I guess I should get ready to head out.
Yeah. Try to steer clear of the ale this time, perhaps.
Yeah, rum's a much better idea. It agrees with me more. She kind of turns around and walks back towards the keep.
Yeah, like I'm missing all this. This sucks.
What are you missing?
My character's out navigating the city.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's getting fucked up in the tavern off the good berries.
yeah.
Well, it's morning now, right?
It's the next morning, so you're probably back.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Whoa, no. If it's the next morning, Steen's sleeping in.
Oh, yeah. It's the first time
Yeah.
you've ever gotten to do that. Like ever.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, oh, this is great.
Should have said, come wake you up, see if you want to go on a jog with me.
I can only think if you had that it'd be the response of Robin Williams from when he's talking about golf on his Live on Broadway show. Fuck no!
Daytime good berries and booze, huh?
Give you a little flag at the end, just to give you hope.
I used to have that CD in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Did Lumo come back after the night?
He didn't in the evening, but he would have by around lunchtime the next day. So would be when he returns. Knowing that y'all were intending to leave at some point, and he didn't know exactly when, so that's when he came back.
Right. So I guess the only other thing is he would do is just go grab some food and make sure she's got all her stuff together for the journey.
I guess I would have inquired a little bit if Dardoch knew anything about going on in the Witchwood.
The Witchwood?
Is that what it was called?
That's one of the places. So there's a couple. Places.
Mistra mentioned some people, and I think she said there was. When I asked about who was powerful enough to do this, I think she said Witchwood as where someone could be strong enough to do this.
It is important to note that when you're asking around the next day, that Brayden has already left, as have the Mayoran leaders. They've already they got up early this morning, and you saw the Mayoran leaders leave, but they're already heading out with the rest to begin their tasks. Dardoch is trying to execute locally, but yeah. The Archwizard himself has left.
We had our teleportation circle done up here, right? With a wizard to watch.
That's correct. Y'all haven't. So normally, like when people teleport in, they teleport it in on the actual circle itself. But there's no markings or anything like that out on the courtyard where he brought his portal to. But when you inquire, they take you down. There's actually a spot in the basement of the keep. That's a room set in behind a guarded hallway, past a set of very hard to get in or out of doors. So if bad people come in, they can defend on either to keep people out or if bad people come in, to keep them from coming into the rest of the keep. So they've got some security measures there, but they've got a spot way down in the basement for it that they'll show you to, should you ask. This being military, after all, that was one of their foremost thoughts, was security, and so they didn't want a way for people, just magic people, to just be popping in wherever. Although some of them powerful enough, like the Archwizard, can do that anyway, but they can't stop that.
Did anybody else have anything they wanted to do, or were we ready to head out?
I see. I stopped by the bookstore, got an analysis of the current trade situation. Pretty good. I'm pretty good.
Yeah, I am good.
Definitely.
Alright, so we're ready to make our trip on to Camden? Is that for sure where we're headed?
Straight out of Camden.
I missed why are we going to Camden? Sorry.
Bijou's dad is waiting for us there.
And that's one of our towns or fiefs?
No, Camden is... Okay, so let me pull up the world map.
I know we're going to meet Bijou's dad, but I'm not sure because I missed that from before. Okay, there's a map. Okay.
Camden, so the Isle of Ferox, which just basically means wild, feral, wild.
Mm-hmm.
That's the island directly to the west of the Badlands. And there's only one what you consider modern civilization there, and that's Camden. And Camden is kind of like paradise, with the Great Wall of China on the western front that holds back lots of orc and goblinkin and some big nasty beasts and just a bunch of terrible shit on the other side of that wall. And so all along the way, they kind of glimpsed in on Bijou's dad out actually in the jungle, which is west of Camden. And he was traveling, and then on the last time, they were able to get to him to a communication standpoint, and he was just crossing the Great Wall, and would be at the main city, the Camden city within Camden.
Now where are we?
You are north of the Badlands, so there's Mayora, and then that's on the border. Your country is the other one on the northern border.
And our town's
okay, just like the flat one. Okay, it's like a New York strip.
Yes, delicious New York strip.
Geography and steak is the best. Like the whole island over there with Camden, T-bone. Okay. Before we do that, I want to stop by the bookstore again and make sure I get a notarized parchment letter and make sure I sent a writ of entitlement to Braden. So, because he's our steward, but I don't think we've officially made him a steward.
You mean
Dardock?
Dardock.
Dardock, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we've appointed him with an official writ to stewardship.
I think that's a good idea.
Damn, Wolfen.
See, Wolfen knows a lot of things about running a country. I just hate politics.
Oh, that means maybe you're good for running a country then.
No, because I hate politics.
That's exactly why you'd be good for running a country.
Yeah. You hate it, but you do good, actually.
Yeah, you can take care of that. Let's see.
Have a messenger just take.
Also, as a side note, you were relinquished from your direct line of duty as far as being outside of the chain of command now. You're still honorary as far as phalanx privileges are concerned. All of you
Once
are.
family.
Yeah. And they did not remove your the thing that you used to communicate. So you still have your ability to communicate.
Yeah.
Directly with the Archwizard with that parchment still.
Okay.
You still have the company expense card.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I just want to make sure we got him covered, or us covered while we're out of town, right? You don't want no one that can make any decisions while you're away. It's a horrible, horrible business venture. And get that sent off and pretty ready to go. Is there a better place? Is there, because it's a peaceful-ish city? Is there a place where we can buy like slightly higher quality potions? Or maybe exchange some of the regular potions for a discount?
Yeah, I'm gonna do some rolls here real quick. I mean, you could especially feel out on the servants to see if they've got some stock. You know, if they can go out and find, various vendors across the way or in the market. There's a little bit of a market, very small market, inside the keep or inside the castle rather itself, and then of course across the city there's going to be a little bit of market. But yeah, let me do some rolls real quick and we'll see what we got.
And before we leave our keep, because it's Steen's room now, right? Steen's room. He's gonna use a scroll of arcane lock on his bedroom door.
Steens only. Everyone else keep out.
Yeah. The last
Nobody can break in and browse his internet history.
his book collection.
Oh, that's the library you went to.
Going to the smut store.
I went to the red light district.
So,
Comic book.
and for the large part, for the general masses, the ones greater than a regular healing potion are, I mean, regular healing potions themselves are still a valued luxury item for the general masses. But beyond that is very seldom something that is either acquired by anything but adventurers or the upper crust, aristocrats, noblemen, those very wealthy, just in general. I mean, as the further up you scale, just the more exorbitant in price they are. There's a handful of regular healing potions across town. There are no graders.
Okay.
There is one. So there are. I'm trying to remember what the exact titles were. There's 4 tiers of healing potions.
Yep.
And we only really run across 1 and 2. There's no 2 and 3, but there is a 4.
Yeah,
What?
yeah. You got healing potions, greater healing potions, superior healing potions.
I'm trying to remember what the 4th one was called. It's probably... Is it Supreme? Is it Supreme Healing?
No big.
It's got bell peppers in it.
Yes.
Mhm. Little nacho cheese and a little sour
guess we're-
cream, guacamole.
Our country
my kind of
isn't
healing
that mercantile yet to have the expansive wares selection. Something we need to work on.
There is this one potion of supreme healing. These potions are normally valued at minimum on any market like 5,000 gold pieces,
Whew.
and can run as high as 50,000 gold pieces depending on the market.
It's a god tier item.
And so that's extremely expensive. The guy that has one has had it for quite a long time. It was actually an heirloom kind of item. And he has been trying to get rid of it for a very long time. But no one's willing to pay 5 to 50,000 gold, at least not in this country or any of the nearby countries, or even a couple of the major port cities he's been to, for one. So, he's like, even though this has extremely high value, potentially it has 0 value because I can't actually sell it. So, you want to give me some stuff that I can actually sell, I might be willing to go far down in value just so that I can actually get any value out of it at all.
I will give him 9 potions of healing and some gold.
Nine potions of healing. Okay. And what are we talking about? Gold.
I don't know what you'd consider the trade for. So
I mean, make me an offer.
1,000 gold and 9 potions of healing.
That's about just under 1,500 gold in value. But that's 1,500 gold in my pocket. The healing potions I can sell. Boom. That's just, I mean, that's instant money. I could even take them with me. I could probably make a little more. 1,000 gold in my pocket.
Hold on. Let's see here. I'll make it easy on you. Persuasion roll. And I can feel that thunder. Whew.
Hold on. I say, what was that, Steen? I didn't hear you, and I kind of tap him on the back and cast guidance. So you can add a D4 to that check.
Go ahead.
Do you mean roll the D4, or you got it, Steen?
Oh. D4. Ba-doo! 4.
Oh, nice. That's pretty much the best we could make it.
All right. I think I'll... At least it's money in my pocket. This thing's been wasting space on a shelf for years. If you'll do it, it's a deal.
All right.
10d4 plus 20.
Jesus! Hold that. I mean, I hope I don't slip and fall and break it.
It's between 30 and 60 hit points. It's a pretty powerful combat heal. It's a reason why it's the highest. It's also the reason why it's this expensive.
Alright, I'm deleting my potions of healing.
And then I put it in the inventory. Yeah, so you can just delete it. Yeah, that's fine.
I'm going to give you...
Subtracted 1,000.
I'm going to give you 2 of my potions of healing, so don't delete them all, and I'll take 2 away.
Don't worry about it. I have 3 greater potions of healing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I forgot about those. I didn't see those.
Because there's... yeah, because there's actually 2 different item types floating around, I think, that drag from 2 different places, and so I think that they started to propagate.
Okay, it's just a potion in the party sheet, by the way.
Oh, I have to identify it, yeah.
I was like, wait, is that...
I have to fix that. Whatever setting that got changed on the patch, I gotta fix that at some point. 10d4 plus 20. The superiors are 8d4 plus 8, so, I mean, it's a... I mean, you only get 2 more d4s, but the guaranteed 20 is a pretty big deal. You hear that?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Really good sound effects, Drad.
Yeah. All right.
In maybe 2 hours, that's what's coming for me. Probably longer than that, but...
Maybe. It is heading. It is heading towards you. I mean, it's going west or east. I mean.
Yeah, 2 hours it'll hit me.
Okay, I actually don't know if that was a sound effect or.
Yeah, it was.
No, it's literally been shaking me in my chair. I can feel the thunder.
Oh no, that one was a sound effect. Okay, it's hard to tell which is which.
Hmm.
Oh, sorry guys, that was just playing with my new sword.
So now I have a supreme taco. So
Yeah. Taco Supreme. Nacho Del Grande.
because I get hit a lot anyway. So no, I don't get hit a lot, but when I do get hit, it fucking hurts.
Save it for a boss fight.
Oh, I stubbed my pinky toe. Oh, let me grab this potion.
Fixed. No problem. Anyway, okay. Anything else before we go through on to the other side? We break on through to the other side.
Pretty good. So
Okay.
we're sailing to Camden, or are we doing some
Bamfing the Camden.
Banff? All right.
Yeah.
Diddly-doo.
I'm ready.
Could I have just checked in with Ileana real quick, see what her plans are, I suppose?
I may tag along for that.
Or Saturday night.
Maybe I should wait outside.
No, you can come in. No, that's just weird.
Oh, honey, you can all come in.
Double entendre.
Yeah, I guess I would just find her and ask her what she's planning to do. If she's planning to go back and see her daughter, or if she's going to hang out with Nalar or stay here.
If I know you're going that way, I'll just relay it to you. But yeah, let her know she's definitely welcome, and she could be a great help to us out here.
I will also tell her that. If you think it coming with me would be too awkward.
Well, I don't know what your game's like.
Izzy's got pretty good game.
Yeah, so you go find her. She's actually just hanging out in her room. And you can see that she's got a bag that's empty and stuff's everywhere, and another bag that's full. And she's actually just when you knock on the door, she asks you to come in, and she's standing there with her kind of arms folded, and she's tapping on her chin like she's trying to make a decision.
Yeah, I guess I'll go in with you.
Okay.
Oh, well, hello.
Hello.
I nod.
You packing to go somewhere?
We're unpacking to stay.
Well, that's the quandary I'm currently trying to solve. So I have this ring, and it lets me talk to Nalar, and I, was thinking about going to see him again. He said he would come and get me in a couple of days if I wanted. But I don't know.
Girls just want to have fun.
Is there something else you'd rather do?
Well, rather do. I think there are some things that I'm rather due to do. But maybe some things I should do more. What do you think?
I suppose it depends what those things are. We're about to head out to see if we can help Bijou's father with his quest. Over in Camden.
He was mostly safe, right? I mean...
Well, for the moment. He seems to be the kind to willingly throw himself into danger. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be one to talk.
You see her eyebrows just kind of went up and a smile across her face.
We may end up in Witchwood before that's all over with, if we can find some intel.
Yeah. That place sucks.
At least she's honest.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want you two getting in any kind of trouble over there.
Who, us? Trouble? Never.
No, that's part of the quandary. Maybe... I mean... One hand, you could use my help. I'm sure someone's got to keep you both looking the way you do. Wouldn't want any scars to befall you.
I give her a wink and say, your presence is always welcome. Were you thinking you should be meeting up with Captain Corval again?
See, I hear he's headed this way.
Oh, is he?
He just can't live without me, it seems.
Him and many others.
I do give a gentle smile at that.
I would like to return to Aria.
Your daughter.
Yes.
I hope someday I get to meet her.
I got to see her again. That's lifted the weight on my soul.
Where is she at now?
She was left with my mother, and Izzy kind of gives a glance over at Ileana, because I don't think Ileana knew that she knew that.
Yeah, she's a little... kind of little side eye. So Ileana's very tall, right? And you both are half elves, and so you don't quite have the height that she does. Neither one of you, even though Car's pretty tall for a half elf, I think. But she kind of walks over, and she basically rests her bosom on your head, Ilia. She kind of hugs you in. See, but you surprised me. And, like, kind of squeezes a little.
I'll hug her back. I just give into it.
I like how the music went to some jazz horns right there.
I hadn't really got time to spend with her. Not nearly enough time with Nalar, but I'm afraid he's going to be a bit busy for the likes of me.
I'm sure he'd be willing to make time when he can.
Yes, but I require a lot more attention than I think he's going to be willing to give for the time being. Might have to find my joy elsewhere.
Izzy doesn't say anything out loud, but she just thinks at her sword, don't.
You could feel the sword literally vibrating in its scabbard.
Car looks off for a second, kind of thinking, would it be safe to bring them here? Your mother and your daughter?
You see, just a flash of, like, like just the briefest moment of almost panic, and then just quickly covers up. And she's like, it's a long way. I mean, I'm sure it's safe enough up here if you wanted to do that. Like the barrier's still intact, and there's the mountains that it would be very difficult for anything to get across.
What do you want?
Izzy just looks up at Ileana.
Looking up, with the way that she's currently on top of your head, she kind of puts both, one hand on each shoulder and kind of pulls you back a little bit. She kind of looks down at you. Compared to where they've been, this place is just as much paradise as another. Defensible? Yes. I could see no harm for them being here. Plus, accessible.
Izzy kind of just swallows real hard, and she's like, there's lots of room.
Why don't we make that a reality?
Sure.
I'll have Nalar come pick me up, whisk me away for an evening, and I will have my evening. She's real stern.
Oh, poor Naylor.
And then I'll bring him back. And if I have any energy left in me, I'll come find you.
If you're bringing them here, Izzy reaches into her bag, and I assume that with the communication devices, there was 2 of them.
Sorry.
Like sending stones or something.
Mm-hmm.
She'll give one to Ileana and ask her to give that to her mother.
Oh, okay, yes. Very well.
And in the meantime, if you need to talk to me, you should be able to do it through that. I think.
Oh, splendid. So she's gonna just like immediately try to use it.
There's like an
Taz?
echo. It's like an echo, like you hear Ileana talking, you also hear Ileana talking out of the other stone.
Mm-hmm.
Like feedback.
Excellent, it works. Good, I get to keep tabs on you.
Well, I mean, that's to, go to Mom eventually, but
I am glad you're staying with us.
me too.
In the meantime, if you have any fun, you better let me know about it.
I will do my best.
Well, you've
Never
been
as much
hanging out.
fun when you're not around.
While you guys have been hanging out with Ileana, I've been hanging out with Dardoc, going over some notes.
Giving him his writ.
Giving him his writ, and you gotta explain things. It's like here's notes and then open interpretation, right? Yeah. Sit down and have a conversation.
Yeah, get everything all clarified.
Mm-hmm. Answer questions.
Ileana with one arm each kind of grabs each of you in a hug around the neck, and then like just spins you around and pats you on the butt, and both of you. Now off with you. You have things to do.
Indeed.
Izzy's got a big grin and a bit of a blush. She leaves the room.
Okay. And then, yeah, Car, so you follow with her, and then y'all make ready to actually leave. And then Steen, while that's going on, you talk with Dardok, give him his writ, kind of explain the last little bit of clarifications, make sure everybody's on the same page, and then join them.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we all make our way into the basement. Lumo makes it over. He's left some training instructions for his monks to get started on ways in which that they can actually. They're supposed to dig their own hovels out in the hills and live on the earth and in and off of the earth. And then he's kind of explained their initial training regiment, and when he comes back, he's going to get them on to the next phase. So everybody descends down into the basement towards the guarded hallway. The guards recognize you, salute, and unlock and let you through down into the portal room, where off of the portal room is so there's a hallway, a room, and then off of that room is another doorway into a little living chamber, and one of the guards on the inside goes over and knocks on it, and this very elderly gentleman comes out. Yes, we have guests or those wishing to leave.
We seek passage to Camden.
To Camden. Okay. Let's see how juiced up this baby is. He walks over to the portal, to like the giant runic symbols on the ground, and he starts waving his hand over, and you can see it glow and recover. Let's see, we've already connected it to your stone. It should have plenty enough power to get you there and back, but a subsequent trip might be delayed. Been a lot of coming and going, and things are starting to get thin.
Izzy kind of elbows cars like, we'll have to get a ship.
Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much Car's reaction. He kind of smiles, a little chuckle at that.
All this old gal needs is just a little bit of time. She'll rev right up for you.
Thank you. Did we catch his name? Did he give a name?
He did not, no.
I kind of go, thank you, and sort of a pause to catch his name.
You're welcome.
Izzy just holds out her hand like, I'm Izzy. Nice to meet you.
Why, hello, Izzy.
And your name is?
Oh, yes. My name is Abden.
Abden. Nice to meet you. I'm sure we'll be working together a lot.
I'm your representative in charge of this portal. Very excellent service. Gives me something to do.
Very excellent service, I'm sure. And she gives him a wink.
Well, you know. The portal does most of the work. Well, anyway, I suppose you'd like to be about it then, huh?
Please.
Okay, well, let's see. If you'll just come no, over here. Stand, oh, no, over here.
Here?
Yeah,
Oh,
no, yeah, just, okay. Very
God,
fine.
I'm having a flashback of family photos.
Excellent. Okay, so. Alright, let's get this girl turned up. See him going over and waving his hand in a big circle over the top of it. He starts chanting his incantation. And then the runes and begin to glow in a circle. He said, Camden. Camden?
Yes.
The city?
Is Camden? Is there a city in Camden named Camden?
Is Camden City inside of Camden? Not very thought-provoking, are they?
that's where Bijou's dad was waiting, right?
To the best we know, yeah. That's
Okay.
They build their pants with deep pockets, but their hats are shallow.
A smile and a nod at that.
See, just in case you didn't understand, that really means that they like money, but they're not very bright. They build big walls, both in culture and physically.
I know it'd be out of character, but I really want Lodrin to go. I don't get it.
Well, and I think we've just about got it in tune. It's revving up. He's just like swirling his hand faster. Like this portal, unlike some of the others, even the one that you took from your own garrison, this is like the old model. It's like Model T versus so he's having to give her all she's got, Captain. It takes a bit to get it to spin.
The Willy Wonka movie.
Yeah. Exactly. But once it gets going, then the portal opens up and begins to appear. All right, just step on through. Camden City awaits.
Izzy just puts a finger in first, and then the hand, and then she kind of steps through.
Thank you, Captain. And I walk through.
I just walk on through.
Everybody goes through.
I hug him and then I go through. Thank you.
Oh, aren't you a darling? And then, so as everybody makes their way through the portal, it closes behind them. On the other side is as soon as you step through, you're immediately blasted by sun, but not in the desert kind of sun that you had before. But this is a very tropical feeling. The winds blow cool air. It's warm but not oppressively hot. The air is definitely humid, but with a cool wind that blows off of what seems obviously nearby water. You can, as soon as you step through, you smell the salt in the air from the nearby ocean. You as you look around, it's dense, fairly dense vegetation in the immediate area of like different types of palm trees and very tropical kind of vegetation. You notice that it's not like, so there's a lot of them nearby, but it doesn't really block vision too much, as none of the trees are like evergreen shrubs or shrubbery kind of stuff. It's all very tall, the leaves are way up kind of trees and things, so you can see nearly unobstructed around. You can hear the ocean lapping heartily upon a beach as you smell that salt air, and you can hear those waves crash. As you look around, there's a nice little kind of stone outcropping around the circle, and it is free from vegetation inside of that stone outcropping, but outside of that, you can kind of see down to the beach beyond, and you can definitely see and hear even just the buzz of an expansive city just on the other side of all of these trees.
Seeing as this is fairly close to Demir, how familiar would Carr and Izzy be with this place?
Fairly well. It's quite a well-known and traveled place. So anybody out on the seas would get a stop off here. I mean, both from a landscape perspective as well as, you know, this is an ultimate pleasure destination. So once, especially pirates and even, you know, well-to-do alike would all kind of find common ground here in the luxuries that are provided. This is, for all intents and purposes, just like like the entire country is like a giant resort in the tropics.
Okay. So like prime shore leave area.
Yes. Yeah, it's a very service economy between gambling establishments and luxury and, you know, every prim and proper kind of way to soak up that hotels and the like. It's all meant to be like just like that, a resort vacation spot.
So I guess Izzy would look over to Bijou and Carr and say, do either of you know where he'll be waiting for us?
I look at Carr like he should know something.
I can trust in another message. My best, from what I remember, he was prepping to go through again. So wherever there's a crossing over point, if there's a major crossing over point here, that would seem like a good place to start.
If he was resupplying, maybe we can find him near the market. I assume if Izzy was more or less familiar with the city, that she would know. Well, it would make sense that she would know where to resupply for trips and things like that from here.
Yeah, they have some stuff both at the harbor as well as like a main open air bazaar in the middle of the town. The town itself is kind of on the eastern edge of the city, the major town. Of course, there's like little bitty things all over that, you know, kind of give more of the, you want the remote experience and paradise kind of thing across. But the majority of the city's near the major harbor, which is on the eastern border. So there's still a bit of trip to traverse. So he was coming across. And then he across the wall, and then he had to travel to the city. So, you know, he probably would have arrived either yesterday evening or this morning sometime, based on the timeline that we had kind of before us to the actual city itself. So yeah, you could go to the harbor, you could go to the open air market.
I would think the market.
Yeah, I would think so too. It wouldn't necessarily make sense to go all the way to the harbor if you could resupply halfway through the city. Especially if he's itching to get back out there. We can head that way, and I guess Carr, maybe it would be prudent to send another message, see if we can get a pinpoint on him.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll send that.
Okay, yep. So, what are we sending to him?
We're in Camden City with your daughter. We just arrived. We're heading towards the market. Where could we find you?
The response is, just entering the market. Must grab supplies and I'm ready to get back at it.
I tell Bijou. Yes, he's in the market. He is very eager.
So I run and see if I can climb on top of anything so I can get a better look to find him.
That would be Lodrin.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So kind of riding on Lodrin's shoulders into the city proper and headed towards the marketplace. Izzy's very likely been there before, so kind of lead the general direction as where that might be as you cross into. It's almost directly in the middle of town, so you have to traverse through some very lavish looking buildings as you come through towards the middle itself. When you do, you enter upon the market, and from the distance, you actually see your dad, and you see him with a couple of guards around him that look to be kind of in a protective stance to him. And then there is a very hulkingly large individual across from him who is yelling. A very violent, very prostrated look, aggressive, as y'all enter the marketplace.
I scream, "Dad!" and just jump down and run after him, like right through the guards.
So you kind of start crossing the marketplace. All the while, as you kind of come up to him, you can hear the guy that's very aggressive. Damn it, he was my brother, and he died because of you. So your dad kind of put up his hands. You can see, like, as you call out his name, you call out for him. His head turns just a little, just to kind of take note of where you're coming up behind him. But his attention is still focused on this guy who's kind of pacing back and forth and fists clenched and still quite aggressive.
He's human, or?
Yes, human. Very large human. Very muscular. A bit wild look to him. His hair is all frazzled and frayed, and his clothes are mostly bare bits of hide. He looks like he's some kind of almost like a gladiator of some sort. And you can hear Bijou's dad. Oh, now. Yes, it is an unfortunate tragedy what happened. But your brother died admirably doing a job of which he was paid. Doing his job quite well, and because of it, everyone else was able to get away safely. A sacrifice. Tragic. But
Bijou's running full force.
I'm coming up behind her, not not running full force, but can I maybe try and get a bead on this big guy?
in what way?
With what is it called? My empathic ability. Can use your action to gain uncanny insight about one humanoid you can see within 30 feet of you. I have to make a wisdom insight check contested by his charisma deception.
Okay. Yeah. So you'll have to. So I would say that we're starting off more than 30 feet away from where that she was able to see him on Lodrin's shoulders, just hearing the kind of shouting going on as we're entering the ruckus of the crowd. So maybe not immediately, but just as things carry on, yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
and we could
so
do that.
I guess just let me know when I get close enough.
Okay, yeah. So Bijou's kind of running in. She's running a little bit ahead of you, so she might have just breached that 30-foot kind of barrier, but you're probably still lagging behind just a little. as this large gentleman, he clenches his fist. It's like, it was more than just a job. That was his life. He was everything. And now he's gone.
I want to cast suggestion.
Okay.
And I'm gonna be like, "Hey, sir, why don't you go make him a memorial over on the other side of the city?" I shout that as I'm running towards my dad.
So an interesting point of note, you begin to cast your spell. Your father counterspells your spell. You can see him turn and just holds up a finger, he actually turns to look in your direction. He holds up one finger, and just maybe 1 minute or something, and gives you the hardest stare. Turns back. Well, I would gladly be helpful to assist, both monetarily and even potentially physically, before we leave, in such an effort as she so boldly pointed out. But of your own volition. I did not control him. He made the decision his own free will. The large guy, still kind of irate. No, he said no. He wasn't going to do it. He did want to go. It was dangerous, but you convinced him, and it's all your fault. I did convince him. The risk and the reward were both proposed. The likelihood of return was small for all of us, but because of his valiant efforts, we survived. And I can't thank him or you for his sacrifice enough. But it was a sacrifice he made willingly, on a trip, on a contract he took willingly. And from that, after he says the last thing, you just get this overbearing wave of force just kind of creeps through the crowd in all directions. And this force is it affects the psyche. It's a very calming, a very soothing feeling that's nearly insurmountable. As you're running forward and you're just kind of taken aback by the fact that your father would cancel, you're trying to protect him, that he would stop you from doing that. And then as you come forward, I need Izzy and I need Bijou to make wisdom saving throws.
Nope.
Not great.
Oh.
You have this intense feeling that the situation is under control, and the energy and anxiety and concern that you had washes away as you are soothed and calmed. Let us let cooler heads prevail. Let's set emotion aside and think logically, rationally. It is your own thoughts I do not control, but I do stifle the emotion. It's a wonderful thing. It truly is. The big guy who was just raging, you could see immediately as the power washes over him, as well as the speech. You can see his muscles fall from their tension, and his shoulders slump, and you can see that immediately a tear rolls down his face, and he says, Just kind of shakes his head. I'm sorry. And then just turns and walks away. And we're going to leave it there. That's it for today.
Oh.
Progress.
That was good.